Let me say it this way. No solution doesn't mean no solution. It just means no solution that I can see. Do you see the difference? We get thrown in that lion's den, and we're like, no solution. But no solution doesn't mean no solution. It just means no solution I can see. But you're not arrogant enough to think that if you can't see it, that God can't do it. You're not that arrogant, are you? Like no solution. Daniel, Moses, Joseph, all of them were in a situation where there was no solution. But I got news for you. Spoiler alert. Daniel didn't get eaten by the lions. Moses didn't get drowned by the sea or killed by Pharaoh. Joseph made his way out of that well. None of those things happened. Now it seemed at the moment that there's no solution. But no solution doesn't mean no solution. It just means no solution I can see. Because the end, what seems like the end is usually, often, just the beginning of God's work. What's for Ruth? What's for Naomi? What's for Moses? What's for Daniel? What's for Joseph? And most important, it is for you. Romans chapter 11, verse 33. Again, great verse for those looking for a verse to memorize. Oh, the depth of the riches, both of the wisdom and knowledge of God, how unsearchable are his judgments and his ways past finding out. How unsearchable are his judgments and his ways past finding out. Meaning God has so many ways. Oh my goodness, my head hurts when I try to think of the ways that you, God, have for us. Like I have 3 ways, 4 ways, 5 ways. God is like, are you kidding me? I got ways in places you never even seen. Like I could go like this and pull out a way. I got ways. I'm the maestro. I'm the pantocrator. What are you worried about? Just around the corner from the worst is God's best. What seems like the end is often just the beginning. And no solution doesn't mean no solution. It just means no solution that you can see. But let me ask you a question. Let's go back to those 3 stories. Joseph and Moses and Daniel. What if Moses had surrendered to the Egyptians? What if as they're going to the Red Sea and Moses can't see a solution, Moses says, this is the end. Moses turns around, holds a white flag and says, we surrender. We surrender. What would happen then? What would happen if Daniel, as he said, we're going to throw you in the lion's den, and they're throwing him in, he's like, okay, I apologize. I repent. I deny my God. I worship only the king. What if Joseph had decided, you know what? When in Rome, do as the Romans. So you know what? I'm not going to worship my God left me a long time ago. My God left me in a well. I don't need my God anymore. And he gave up on God. What would have happened? See the theme of this series? Why I'm so passionate about it, just around the corner from the worst is God's best. I see it so often. I'm not saying I see it. I'm afraid that I see it. What I see is people on this road. And here they are in darkness and despair, and then the pit, and then they build themselves up, and then they believe, and they start to go, and then they're doing their part, and God is working in miraculous ways, and they're doing their part, and then all of a sudden it's not a straight line, and then it's like, come on, man, keep going. Just around the corner is the best, just around the corner. And then they quit. And say, I give up. And then, God left me. God left me. Look, God left me. I'm in a well. God left me. I'm face to face with Pharaoh and his armies. God left me. I'm in a lion's den. What more do you want to say God left me? And Naomi could have said that. And Ruth could have said that. And you can say that. And you can convince yourself that it's true. You convince everybody that it's true. But it doesn't make it true. Because just around the corner from the worst is God's best. And I sometimes imagine God up there watching the story and cheering us on like, come on, we're almost there. And God knows that once we get there, boom, we're going to turn that corner. God knows we're right there. Come on, boy, come on, you're almost there. Come on, we're about to get right there. And then we get right here and we quit. And God is encouraging us. And what seems like the end is usually just the beginning. And no solution doesn't mean no solution. It just means no solution I can see. Ephesians chapter 3, verse 20. Let's read this all together because this is one of my favorite verses in the world. All together. Now to him who is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we ask or think, according to the power that works in us. To him who is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we ask or think. Let's make this personal. Let's make this tangible for every one of us. What are you going through right now? What problem is in front of you? What suffering is in front of you? What appears to you as if you're at the end? There's no solution to this, Father Anthony. Where are you in life where you're like, there is no way past this? This is the end of the road. And then let me ask you a second question. As you think of that pain, that broken relationship, that suffering, that trial, that whatever it may be, think of that unanswered prayer where you were just waiting. What would it look like for God to work exceedingly abundantly in that? What would it look like for God to work exceedingly abundantly in that? Is that possible? That God can do that in that specific situation? Let's not talk theoretical. In that broken relationship, what would it look like for God to do exceedingly abundantly this Thanksgiving? And that person who's got that illness, what would it look like for God to do exceedingly abundantly in that illness right now? What would it look like for God to work exceedingly abundantly in whatever it is that you're going through? Because I got news for you. Just because you don't see a solution doesn't mean there's no solution. Naomi didn't see a solution. Ruth didn't see a solution. But there was a solution. And I believe the same is true for all of us.